going on, everybody? Welcome back to Guys on Sports. Week 13 is in the books. Week 14 is right ahead.
On the horizon.
Fantasy playoffs are on the horizon. Some leagues, you're headed to the fantasy playoffs. I know most of mine is the last week. So there's a lot to be had and a lot to be lost. Guys, how's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah?
It's going real good.
My freaking mic just broke, but otherwise.
Well, how'd your mic break? It didn't. It's not very
There's
tight.
the key.
I had a great week, man.
Did you? I had a so-so week.
3-1. I'm killing it.
Are you in the playoffs?
I'm in the playoffs with the best record in one league.
But
In my league, I believe I will be in the playoffs by the end of the year.
yeah, I took another L.
Yeah,
The
from
big
me.
fat L's. I made the big trade. 3 losses in a row.
Yeah.
Real bad.
I cleaned all my non-essential players. Then
you
I
do that?
traded for CMC, and then he got hurt.
I in your league, I teetered on possibly not making the playoffs. It lived and died with Jameis Winston last night, who was tearing it up. But those 2 late picks, deduction, your boy's in the playoffs.
Oh, wow. That's how it worked out for you, huh?
Yeah.
So who had Jameis that you were going against?
His brother, Zach. I
That's unfortunate
I
for
believe
Zach.
New York Giants blue, the longest name in fantasy football history.
Yeah, he's had that for quite a few years.
Yeah. I don't even understand how it all fits on the screen.
I mean, Zach's just not known for his creativity.
That's the fair assessment of Zach.
Yeah.
He's a very strong silent type, or
Is that what he is?
the very least silent.
Yes, I
All right, guys. So without further ado, with the playoffs looming, some teams out of it already. You may have had one of those years where it just didn't work out. We're looking forward to next year already. If the trade market is still open in your league, we're going to highlight some guys that you could target, and we're also going to highlight some guys that you could even target going into the off season, going into next year. We're calling this fantasy trade. What are we calling it?
Fantasy level up.
We're calling, all right.
Oh, that's right.
Guys, we're calling this fantasy level up. All right, fantasy level up, Rocky. What do you got?
Well, again, we want to point out, don't come for us. We know that a lot of leagues already have passed the trade deadline.
We know.
But there are some leagues that haven't. And a lot of leagues, after the season is over, they immediately reopen with another trade period. So these are players that we like. My first player is easy, and that's Isaac Guerendo. I said it right this time.
You said it right, finally.
I did.
See?
Yeah, I did. I talked about this guy before the season started.
Ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum. Picked him up actually in several of my leagues. He's sitting on my bench. 246 yards in limited action, 5.9 yards a carry. He's a physical beast. He's big and fast.
Primed to explode.
Primed to explode. CMC, I think we're seeing the writing on the wall of the end for him.
Somebody here called that. I think a few of us did.
I mean, what are you going to do as a running back at the ripe old age of 28? I mean,
Yeah. But
See
I don't think Mason is the future.
no.
I think it's going to be Guerendo.
I think you're right. I think perfect timing, too, as both of those guys just hit IR. We're gonna get a glimpse into what Guerendo will look like in the future going forward. And it's going to be a good barometer here at the end of the season as they're fighting, scratching, clawing their way to try and get one of these last playoff spots.
Yep.
It's not
Very
bad.
fair. All right, Mark, who do you have?
For me, there's a guy that I want to target next year to have on my roster for a very, very long time. Unfortunately, right now, it's not the greatest market for me to go and do that because he's definitely not a buy low guy right now. But Bo Nix is everything that you want in a rookie quarterback right now. This guy, if you watch the game, this guy works his progressions. He gets outside the pocket. He throws accurate balls. He's constantly looking for the guys downfield, and he's got amazing chemistry with all of his receivers. And I dare you to try and name one outside of Cortland Sutton. It's very hard. Devon Vele, yeah, I guess you would have probably gotten that name right. Troy Franklin,
Marvin Mims.
I mean, it's a who's who of who the fuck are they? Shouldn't have cursed. I caught it halfway through. But anyway, he's doing a lot with a little. And their backfield, I mean, Javonte Williams doesn't look good. Jaleel McLaughlin looked good last night. And Bo Nix can run. That dude can scoot. I love Bo Nix. I think he's going to be Denver's answer for the foreseeable future. They've got a surprisingly good team for as young and as unknown as they are. And that defense is looking solid, anchored down by Nick Bonito. So I think the Broncos are going to be legit contenders for the next handful of years, and I would love to have the dual threat of Bo Nix on my team.
Yeah, I like that pick. He does seem to work through progressions. What I like is he stays for the hit. So there's at least 2 or 3 long passes where he stood in that pocket and threw it, knowing he was going to get hit, and he did it. He got right back up.
Yeah, I like Bonix. He's a throwback to a different time. I feel like with a guy starting 61, 66 games in college.
Yep.
I think you could see it in his play. I think there's a difference. Obviously, there's those guys that kind of pop as soon as they play in the NFL and don't need as much time. But I think traditionally, you want a quarterback that's seen a lot of snaps, a lot of playing time, and he's starting to see the field. You see halfway through the season a lot better than he did early on. I like Bonix.
You can see the 8 years of college ball really paying off for him.
They're paying off now.
Coming in the league as a 26-year-old rookie, or however old he is.
So my guy I'm targeting is a wide receiver, and Rocky, you're great with names, so you can help me sound this out. I think it's Andre Losivas. Is that what it is?
Josevich.
Yeah,
Yoso. It's a silent L.
It's a good Russian name.
That's an I. It's not a
It
lower.
looks like an L right here, but I guess yeah.
Yeah, most last names don't start with a lowercase letter.
It's not lowercase.
It would be lowercase L.
Talk to us about.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you for
It's a
the.
Josevich.
I've heard of Iovasas, so I've heard a bunch of different ways.
Well, I mean,
And during the game,
Well, good thing you're
we
good
know
at
where you
something,
hang
right?
out.
Because you
We
suck
know
at
where-
fantasy.
during the game
All right.
on Sunday, they were announcing it the way you did.
Iovasas, right?
Yeah.
So okay.
But I don't know.
I wasn't
if they know,
sure.
I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody knows.
I mean,
Usually a
who
capital
are we talking
I
about?
has the 2 line. This one doesn't.
Do you
That's why I was a little thrown off.
liquored up Troy and Joe are? They're not going to pronounce anything
That's
right.
probably true.
Sunday night.
Especially. All
right, so
Bengals
Andre-
versus Steelers game.
Say it again.
Josevich.
Iosevich. I don't know if that's right. It sounds a little Russian to me. I'm not sure.
He is Russian.
No, he doesn't look Russian to me. He doesn't look Russian to me at all.
Looks a little Russian.
He
from
looks
the
a little
south of
Hispanic.
Russia.
Yeah. All right. So here we go.
Russians
This is
can
real
bang
easy for me.
Spanish ladies.
Can I go? Yeah.
Yeah.
When T. Higgins was out this year, he flashed a couple times, double-digit games, 5 touchdowns on the year. There's going to be an apparent, we know, exodus of T. Higgins in the offseason, which leaves a spot for him and a bunch of targets alongside Jamar Chase, with Joe Burrow in a very super productive offense, where Joe Burrow's probably having the best season of his career, although they suck. And he had a little bit of lull in the middle of the season. He's picked it up as of late. Nothing crazy, but he has carved out a niche in the offense alongside those guys. So I only see it getting better going into next year. I do think he's probably, not on everybody's radar right now. You will hear some hype later in the season. So if you get your hands on him now or early in the offseason, whenever trading opens up for you, this is a guy I would target because I do think he could wind up being as productive or close to as T. Higgins eventually because he's in the offense. 5 touchdowns, unlimited targets. Give me Andre Iosevich.
Yeah, very fast
think that's
receiver,
right.
good route runner, really intelligent guy. Not quite as big as T, but in every other way, I think he slides into the 2, and I think Trey Burton becomes the number 3 next year.
Yeah.
He's 6'3", 210.
So
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay,
That-
I stand corrected then. Wow.
that would be my one concern
Wow.
would be that they drafted Jermaine Burton to be the guy that replaced Tyler Boyd, and Josevich has kind of filled that void. Burton's raw, so it remains to be seen, right? I mean, you can get a Quentin Johnson type of guy out of Burton. We don't know, right?
Yeah.
So Josevich is filled in quite nicely, and if T walks, I mean, he's guaranteed. He's guaranteed play playing time and definitely a buttload of targets.
And I think the
like
price
him.
tag is going to be pretty low right now too.
It's going to be super low. I mean, you can definitely go out there and get him for, probably a 3rd round pick even.
Yeah, probably. All right, Rocky, who you got next?
So my second target would be Audric Estime. Everybody's talking about Javonte Williams and Jalil in the Denver Broncos offense.
Are they though?
Well, I mean,
Everybody.
Jalil looked pretty good last night, to be honest. But he's not a feature back. He's too small. He's going to be more of a gadget. Estime has the size at 5'11", 230, and with 5'5" speed. He's got everything you need. Actually catches the ball surprisingly well. He wasn't targeted a lot at Notre Dame, but in the pros, he's been pretty good.
Did you say 5'5" speed?
I'm sorry, 4.5 speed.
5'5" is pretty fast.
Slow.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, that's pretty fast, yeah. Yeah, 4.5 speed. I think he is another target that you can get pretty cheap. I don't think anybody's going to be really talking about him. I think in the offseason, they're going to be talking about Jalil. But if you look at the makeup of him, he's just not big enough to be a feature role.
And he had his chance too. He's not that guy. They don't have that guy in that backfield. Javonte Williams was skating on thin ice prior to the season. He's probably out of town next year. Jaleel McLaughlin, I don't think they're going to try to. They're not going to. They didn't invest in Audric Estime to not use him. What'd they spend on him? A 2nd round pick, I think.
Yeah. I'm thinking it was
second
a
or
second
third
round. Yeah.
And McLaughlin's walkable. You can let that guy leave. You can replace him. Just like the Giants did with a guy like, Devin Singletary. I mean, that really panned out for the Giants to let a guy like Saquon walk and fill the void with Devin Singletary.
Is that your attempt at a joke? Wow,
No.
and then you get emotional when we talk about your sucky
Actually,
Bears.
Audric was
Don't
drafted in the
understand you,
5th
man.
round.
Was it the 5th?
Yeah, I can't believe
That's
that.
still higher capital,
that
I think,
is,
than McLaughlin. Where was McLaughlin drafted?
I don't know. I'll check.
Probably 3rd round. I'm probably way off on that. Well, what are you popping shots at the Bears for? They look good.
Can we just do
Flus
the show?
is out of town.
Can we just do the show?
It's about time we got rid of Flus. You need to get rid of Dayball.
You want to keep arguing?
That fat, bald-headed bastard
He's
don't know
thinner than
football.
you right now. idiot.
Jalil was not drafted in the draft at all. He was signed.
Yeah,
Undrafted
see that?
free agent.
Get out of here, Jaleel.
All right, who's your guy, man?
My next one. Now here,
You haven't talked enough yet. So.
here's the antithesis of my last guy. Bonex was not a draft or a trade low guy. My next guy is Travis Etienne. You are going to be able to buy super, super low on him. Why? Because Jacksonville is an absolute dumpster fire. Mm-hmm. They're horrible. They could not figure themselves out. They only ran Travis Etienne in obvious running situations. It worked early in the season, but as you saw that, Trevor DeGeneres not being effective, they were able to load the box, key in on the run, and because of that, Etienne is not as explosive as he normally is. The guy is electric. The guy can scoot. The guy can get outside the tackles. He can catch a pass. He can break off big, big plays. I think that you'd be remiss if you didn't try to really aim low in trade value and try to solidify this guy because he will return to top 3 round running back form next year, especially when Jacksonville decides to unload the future, Mr. Mac Jones. When they let him go, the future of Jacksonville, they're going to unleash him.
It was interesting because I traded Travis from several of my teams this year. I just had a feeling.
You idiot.
No, I just had a feeling that he was going to do nothing this year, and it's proven partly because of injury, but it's been proven, and he got in the doghouse somehow. But I agree that he's somebody I might try to recover in the offseason, probably from the same people I traded him to, and I'll get my cake and I get to eat it too.
Probably because they're a bunch of idiots, those people.
I mean, it's Steve Wise. So that's all I'm going to say.
All right. Well, one running back to another. I'm going to go with Jaylen Warren. And, it's another situation where there's going to be a vacancy. They didn't extend Najee Harris off his rookie deal. So I think he's out of town. So you're looking at them maybe bringing in a free agent or drafting somebody. Say more likely they draft a guy than bring somebody in. The Steelers don't really go outside and bring in wide receivers or or running backs and give them money. Jaylen Warren, since the bye week, he has 3 double-digit scoring games. He's seeing double-digit touches, so he's a part of the offense already. He looks good. He's young. He's quick. We were all on the bandwagon with him going into last year. I still think the explosiveness is there, and the role is going to be there. We could be looking at a guy going into next year that's the lead back in a pretty good team that wants to run the ball, and I think it's a low-risk swing to go get him.
Yeah, last year he was the number 1 running back in yards after attempt to tackle. Like after he was able to break through
After
a lot
contact.
After contact. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So I think it's good, and I also don't think Najee would be a terrible power up either, because that guy is a good running back. Like it hasn't worked all the time in Pittsburgh. But I don't know. I saw enough even on Sunday.
I like my only issue with him is you don't know the situation he's going to.
Yeah.
So he seems primed for signing up with a playoff contender that has another back, and he's in the same situation
coming to the Browns.
he's in now.
Yeah,
he
him,
can go to the
him and Nick
Browns
Chubb.
maybe. Yeah, but see, in that situation, I'd rather have Warren, who's competing against maybe a rookie. But I wouldn't be. I mean, you could probably get Harris pretty cheap now too. So
Yeah, I mean he's had some pretty big games the last couple of weeks, but again, like you noted, Mike Tomlin just does not like to pony up for running backs. He lets them leave town because he knows
receivers
or receivers,
next man
Or
up, and
quarterbacks.
they get it done.
or quarterbacks.
or anything really.
All right, so that
But the
was
guy keeps winning.
he does keep winning.
He's hated, and most of my friends that are Steelers fans can't stand him because they figure he's barely above 500, gets you to the playoffs a lot, but he's not breaking through.
Is he barely above 500?
No,
I mean,
he's
last
not.
year I think they made the
gotta be way
playoffs at
above.
9 and 8.
Yeah, but who's their quarterback last year? Kenny Pickett. See, this is what happens with any fan base. It's like Yankee fans; they get spoiled.
It's like
and then
Kyle
just
Shanahan. They're
making
calling
the
for him.
playoffs every year is not enough. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean, this guy's made the playoffs with
Did 49ers forget when they sucked for 20 years?
Listen,
I mean,
the worst group of quarterbacks. This guy's made the playoffs every year, championship several times.
yeah.
I'll take Kyle Shanahan every day.
Yeah, give him up. All right, so that is fantasy. Level up, fantasy level up.
What do you think?
What do you think?
Level up?
Level up. All right, so we're moving on to fantasy primetime. All right, fantasy primetime, week 14. If you've been watching for the last few weeks, we're doing things a little different. We're going to highlight, we're going to low light, we're going to move away from the draft scenario because, to be honest, Mark just wasn't keeping score. Thank you, Mark. So we're moving to highlights and lowlights, and we're just going to start with game number 1. It's a big game for the Rams. I think their season's on the line. Any playoff chance they have is living or dying right here. And the Bills are fighting for that number 1 seed in the AFC. So we got the Bills at the Rams. We'll start with Mark this time. Mark, who is your first highlight in this game? We could go quarterback. Just to lay the rules, we could go quarterback. We could go whatever. Just obviously, if it's an obvious guy, let's not talk about it for a minute and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Cooper Kupp
Cooper
Oh,
Kupp.
man.
I like that.
would seem obvious,
Stole my guy.
but not obvious, right?
Yeah.
Because he only had 4 catches for 17 yards last week.
Yeah.
Look for him to rebound against this Bills secondary. They're at home. They're playing out in L.A., so they're not playing in the snowbound. Quarterback passed it to himself for a touchdown, receiving touchdown. That was ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, crazy.
Actually, he got credited for passing and receiving touchdowns.
That happened to Marcus Mariota a few years ago. I don't know if you remember
No, this
that.
is
Yeah.
he's the first quarterback ever though, and to run, catch, and throw a touchdown in
touchdown.
the same game.
Yeah.
That's insane.
In the history, the NFL's been around.
It's crazy. And you know what's even crazier? All 3 of our teams could have drafted him.
Yep.
Let's sit with that for a little bit.
Yep. And I did call him. I thought he was the best quarterback on that day.
There's no proof of that.
I love a big man. You know that.
We know that.
We do know that.
All right, who you got, Rock?
Yeah, so this is a little bit. I was going to take Kupp thinking that I would have him at number 2. I am fine backing into James Cook. I think he is a solid.
It's crazy.
I think he's a solid running back. I think he's performing in every level of the game, whether it's receiving, running, touchdowns. I think he's a pretty solid guy.
So my guy is Kyron Williams. I think it's going to be a big Kyron Williams game. In my brain, those two guys are the same guy.
They look similar.
Here's the thing. Yeah. The Rams, I feel like this is a game where they're going to just want to, if they're smart, they're going to try to keep the ball out of the Bills' hands. The Bills' defense, especially the rush defense, has been pretty stout lately. But I think if they're going to have any chance of winning here at home, they're going to want to give the ball to Mr. Kyron Williams. He's a stud, and he's going to get a bunch of volume because they kind of have to, in stark contrast to your Cooper Kupp call here. But that's how I see it going. Who else you got for a highlight?
Oh, we're doing 2 highlights. I thought we were just
doing as
doing one.
many highlights as I said. Remember I said that for the show?
I don't remember you saying as many. I thought you said we're going to highlight someone and lowlight someone.
Yeah, I said if we have time. That went pretty quick, so now here's another one.
Oh, another highlight.
How about we don't do that, right? Because now I just got to cut another thing. Just go along with the flow.
I'd like to highlight Kamani Vidal. No, who do I want to highlight here? Let's highlight Puka Nacua.
Wow.
No? All right.
No, go ahead. That's your
All
guy.
right. So Puka is ridiculous. The guy, if you watch the games, the guy is a monster. He is just a physical specimen, a freak. The guy is always open, and he catches damn near everything. His wingspan is huge. There's a reason why Cooper Kupp has taken a back seat in fantasy value this year, and it's because of a man by the name of Puka Nacua. Again, I'm with you. I think that the Rams are going to have to try to find creative ways to win this game. They're going to have to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and there's probably no one more dynamic on that team right now than Puka Nacua.
All right. Rocky?
I don't really have another highlight.
You don't have another highlight? I could bring up one.
Yeah, we'll go.
Well, no. You want to go low light? You can. Yeah.
Yeah, no. My low light is a guy that he looked terrible to start the season, had a big trade, and has looked even worse, I think, in Buffalo, and that is Amari Cooper.
That's funny.
I don't know. He's going to be a highlight.
Yeah.
No, listen. He has had 10 receptions in 4 games. And the worst, he's only been targeted 13 times.
Guy's a bum.
There's no chemistry between him and Josh unless he's lining back at quarterback, because his best play as a Buffalo Bill has been the pass that he gave to Josh Allen this past Sunday. He's a low light. I don't know if time caught up to him or he doesn't care. I can't figure it out.
That's not right.
I can't figure it out, but
earlier this season he had good games. I don't think time's caught up to him.
He had a couple good games, but what he will be remembered by Browns fan is he dropped 3 touchdowns, 2 that cost us games.
That's fair, but nobody cares about.
Everybody cares.
Browns fans,
America's
right?
team.
There's at least a dozen people crying over that.
You think so?
Probably not. It's probably more like 8.
More like 8. Is that a baker's dozen?
Yeah, if it's a big baker.
Yeah.
Means he ate 5 of them.
All right, so highlight of mine was going to be him, but I will go with a low light here for the Rams. I do think that, I'm sorry. I think Cooper Kupp is going to have a bad game. So, in contrast to your Cooper Kupp highlight, I see it as a low light. I think that the Rams probably do lose this game. I think their playoff hopes are dashed. I think that they have looked too inconsistent. I mean, not even game to game. We're talking like half to half. And I expect the Bills to kind of, push them around a little bit. And I don't think the Rams will get much going besides, hopefully, that running game. So, low light for me, Cooper Kupp. How's that feel?
Feels fine because I don't think they're going to get that running game going. Actually, I was going to highlight Kyron Williams as the low light. Just because I think the Bills look every bit of a legitimate AFC champion contender. I think that the run defense has been pretty decent. I just don't think that Kyron's going to find space. I don't have a whole lot of faith in what Stafford's been doing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And in order for Kyron to get going, he needs Stafford on the A game.
So does Kupp. All right, so let's go Bears-Niners. You want to start this off? Do you have any highlights in this game?
Yeah, I have a highlight. He's a guy that...
Do you?
I do.
No, not you. He's like, do you have any highlights for the? He's being facetious. Like, there's no highlights in a goddamn Bears
No,
game.
I think
There's
No,
plenty
I'm
of
not.
highlights.
I'm not.
Yeah, the Bears are.
You're
They're a
crazy.
solid team. They move the ball, and my guy is actually on the Bears, and that's DJ. DJ still getting targeted. 8 targets per game, 62 receptions, getting real close to 700 yards. Still has 5 touchdowns, and I think it's kind of ramped up the last couple of games. There was a 4-game stretch where the Bears and Caleb struggled, but before and after, Caleb has looked like a very competent quarterback at going through his progressions, and DJ is a guy that gets open quite a bit. So I think he's going to have a big game.
Let me just tell you. All right, Caleb Williams already has more passing yards with 5 games left in the season than Justin Fields did in any of his seasons there. The guy's on pace to. He's already broken Chicago's rookie passing record. He's on
Yeah,
pace
but,
to
I mean, that's a
break
shitty
their
record.
single season passing record as a rookie. As a rookie. All these people out in fantasy land like to come down on Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a legitimate quarterback.
This is what I like about Caleb Williams. He takes the sack rather than throwing the interception.
He has no choice.
Well, he has no choice, but his choice could have been, and a lot of young quarterbacks throw the ball into bad situations, and he doesn't. 5 interceptions, it's not a lot for as much pressure as that kid gets.
All right, so my highlight is going to be Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, the 49ers have been embarrassed the last 2 weeks. They've got shelled. CMC is on the shelf. Isaac Guerrero, who I'm sure somebody will mention here soon, is looking for a big role here, but I'm going traveling back in time to before the CMC trade. Big focus of his offense was Deebo Samuel and different ways to get his the ball in his hands, and I think we see some more of that this week. While Shanahan has to put a game plan together, has to find explosive plays, and I don't think they're finding them in many other places than Deebo Samuel. The Bears, that defense was great last year. Is that secondary still
banged up?
Banged up. Yeah, so I can see a big day for Deebo Samuel here at home against the Bears. Who you got?
I am looking forward to playing our very first game without Matt Eberflus. I really am, because I think that defense is going to get up. I think we're going to see a different defense this week. I really, really do. I don't think they enjoyed playing for Matt Eberflus. Let me just lead out with that.
Okay.
Secondly,
Is that your highlight, the Bears defense?
could be.
Okay.
Secondly, Keenan Allen returning back to California for this game.
This is state revenge. Revenge on the state game?
No, he likes sunny states. He likes the warm weather.
Mm-hmm.
And he and Caleb have a thing going on right now.
Okay.
Caleb knows where to find him. Keenan's that savvy vet. Keenan can break off routes and get into open spaces. There's only a handful of guys in the league that can do that. And to have the chemistry and the trust in a rookie quarterback to be able to do that and have those plays actually turn into like quite a few touchdowns this season, it shows me that the chemistry is fantastic, and I think Keenan Allen's in store for a big game here in nice weather out in California.
I can see that. Rocky, you got any more highlights, or you going low light?
Yeah, I already spoke about him earlier in the show, so I won't belabor the point, but Isaac Guerrero, big boy, 6 foot, 220. He is going to be the lead back, and I think that as you said, I think that Shanahan's going to get back to what he knows, which is running the ball effectively, throwing it out of the backfield, short passes to Deebo. I think the Bears are going to be up for this game. I think that there was too much traction. The team wanted Max gone. That was clear. Matt. Max. Matt. I like Max better, actually. But anyways.
He looks more like a Max.
Team wanted him gone. I think they're going to play up. So I think that Shanahan's going to have to lean into what he is. So.
This goes perfect with my low light here. I think Brock Purdy's going to have a tough day. I don't think he's throwing a touchdown. I do think they have to run the ball a lot. I do think they're getting the ball into Deebo's hands a lot. But I don't see it as a day where Brock Purdy's throwing for like over 220 and throwing a couple touchdowns. I think it'll be tough sledding for him, although it doesn't mean I think they lose the game. I think it'll be a close game. The Bears have been in every game, essentially, outside of maybe that Arizona game. So, yeah, I expect it to be close. I don't expect Purdy to be lighting up the lamp if you are planning on starting him.
I agree. You want to know someone who's not going to be lighting up the lamp too? That's Brandon Ayuk. There's another low life.
He's playing?
Oh, low light. Not low
saying
life,
he's
low
playing?
light.
You said
No,
sounded like
he's
you said low
injured. He's
life.
not going to do anything this
Okay,
week
well,
because
wow.
he's not even playing. That's how terrible he is.
Wow.
He demands this huge contract to
Yeah.
stay in town.
Yeah.
Plays what? Parts of 3 games. Had what, like 6 targets and 2 catches?
Mm-hmm.
That guy's a bum.
All right.
I have
Anything
nobody
left
else.
for you on this game?
No, I think we're good. I think we should move on to our next game.
Oh, thank you. All right, so our next game is Bengals at Cowboys, and I guess I got to start here. Man, I think easiest highlight in the world is it has to be Joe Burrow. There is a little concern for me with his comments after the game. He seems a little
Disgruntled.
yeah, but the Cowboys defense is just not great. They've looked better with Micah Parsons back. He did get banged up on Thanksgiving, but long break here, I think he'll be fine. So there's a little pause, but I just can't deny what he's doing right now. He's the ultimate highlight in this game. I think I watched this game just to see him play. That's how well he's playing right now. What do you got?
Yeah, and obviously the main benefactor is going to be Jamar Chase, who is just going to take a big old dookie on this secondary.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is going to absolutely go off in this game.
Yeah, in Jerry World, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
What do you got, Rocky? Any highlights that are not so obvious as me and Mark's?
No, I mean, I think my highlight is every bit as evident as yours. He did get beat up a little bit in the last game, but the projections are that he is still going to be playing this game, and that is CD Lamb. One thing I know about the Bengals, they can't stop anybody from scoring. They made the Steelers offense look like a world beater, and so I think this is going to be a shootout game. I think CD, I think he is banged up. I think he's going to catch one 70-yard pass and then a bunch of smaller ones, end up with a couple touchdowns maybe. I think he's going to be a highlight.
I think the only thing banged up on CD is his feelings, for crying out loud.
I think he's tired of playing in a crappy franchise. And
I've never seen somebody play at such a high level take so many plays off. That guy just
fair.
does not. He's not happy in Dallas.
No, he's not.
yeah.
But I tell you, so I'm gonna highlight a guy, not a low light. Highlight here still. A guy that I don't think you guys like very much, but Rico Dowdle.
I love Dowdle.
Man, the last 2 weeks after the whole Zeke thing went down, we got 19 carries, 22 carries. We're getting mixed into the pass game, 3 targets each week. A game like this, where I do think they're going to have to kind of shoot it out with the Bengals. I can see a few more targets. So PPR formats, I think this applies a little bit more. But yeah, he's getting the volume. He's the lead back. I expect him to at least fall into the end zone one time this game. So Rico Dowdle is another highlight for me.
Another guy that I like in this game is if Fergie is still out with that concussion that's been lingering the last couple of weeks. Schoonmaker has put up double-digit fantasy points in each of the last 3 weeks.
Who highlighted him last week? Was that you? Good for you, Rocky.
Schoonmaker looks really, really good, man.
Any lowlights?
I don't know. It's
I don't
hard to
have
say.
really any. I think
I think it's gonna be shootout.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a second wide receiver that looks decent in Dallas. I think even looking at like Chase Brown, I love this matchup.
Yeah.
for Chase
You
Brown.
know who I like that we didn't talk? I'll throw him out there. Turpin has looked like a bit of a player the last few weeks.
Brandon Cooks is back too.
Yes.
That could hurt.
Yeah.
That could hurt Turpin. All right, so that's fantasy primetime. Guys, what do you think? You like that format better? Was it a little less, a
think it's
little
better.
herky-jerky at first, but I think we'll smooth it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the only low light is we got to make sure we are calling the right players for right games. But otherwise,
Hey, man, listen, I'll admit, Kyron Williams, Kamani Vidal,
same case.
same guy to me.
You probably have just about the same amount of scrimmage yards too. Probably.
Yeah,
really
probably
close.
close too. All right, so with fantasy prime time over, we're gonna go on to Get Bold. That's how you get bold.
Get bold.
All right, Get Bold. This is a segment. It's a holdover from last year. We've been doing Single Digit Saloon. Get Bold's a little bit of a different twist, and all we're gonna do is make a super bold prediction about a player this week. That could be negative. That could be positive. Either way, you could take it to the bank. It's happening. So I don't know which one of you gentlemen want to go first, but I'm going to go with Mark because he looks more prepared than Rocky at the moment. Mark, what do you got? Who do you got?
Let's call this perfect timing going into the playoffs, right? So your bigger leagues, this will be playoff week number 1. Some of your other home leagues and such, this is probably the final regular season game. And what better opponent for Alvin Kamara to face than those New York Giants? Kamara is going to have himself a fantastic game. He's going to visit the 40-point club this week.
Fingers crossed.
I think he's going to have 220 all-purpose yards. I think he's going to have 8 catches, and he's going to get in that end zone. He's going to find pay dirt twice.
8 catches.
At least 8 catches.
That's bold. I'll give you the bold
8 catches.
Stamp of approval.
8 catches, 222 yards, 2 tutties, 42 fantasy points.
Okay. What do you got, Rock?
Yeah, I've got. We're gonna travel back to the greatest, 2 of the greatest cities in the world, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Browns. Revenge game. The Browns caught the Steelers kind of maybe looking past them and beat them in a snow game. Mm-hmm. No doubt the Steelers are going to want to come back and really rough them up. And this is who it's going to help. It's going to help David Njoku, who I think is going to get 8 to 10 receptions, 110 yards, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. He's going to round up over 25 to 30 points for this game. It'll be his best fantasy game ever. And I think he is primed because I do think the Steelers are back. Cam is coming off the injured reserve, another rusher. They're gonna. TJ has looked terrible against the Browns, and he called out Myles Garrett, so he's going to want to do everything he can to disrupt, which means Jameis is going to be looking for those quick underneath routes. I think that benefits Njoku.
Yeah, I love Njoku. I like this call too. I think you gotta, is it 30? Is it 25? What's the?
Oh, I think 25 to 30 is a great range for a guy
who's
never. Listen, he's never gotten over 21 points.
I gave exact.
Put your scrotum
Football's
on the table.
not an exact game. Man.
It is. It's a game of inches.
27.5.
You're leaving yards out there.
27.5.
27, right in the middle. Okay, difference. I respect that. All right, so my guy is arguably last year's fantasy MVP, who has not been great this year. Some of that attributed to the quarterback being injured, and they just haven't gotten things going. He's had a few good games, but here we are, week 14. They're fighting for their playoff lives. They're home, and guess who's coming to town? The dumpster fire that is the New York Jets, a team that's dejected. They don't know if they're going to sit their quarterback, if he wants to play anymore. Yada, yada, yada. They're coming down to sunny Miami. They're probably going to go out this weekend. They're probably not going to care about this game much. Half the team is probably quit on the quarterback. I like Tyreek Hill to go nuclear Tyreek Hill this weekend. So I'm talking 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 catches for just about 36, 37 fantasy points in PPR formats. Vintage Tyreek Hill performance for your playoff game or your get me into the playoff game.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not a bad call, especially if they do go out and they get sauced the night before.
They're getting sauced.
Yeah, they're definitely.
I mean, your team is terrible. You're in Miami from the cold the cold weather up north. Yeah. You're going out at least Friday night for sure. All right, guys. Well, that's the show. If you like the show, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell and follow us on all your socials at GON Podcast. The link is in the profile for the Patreon. We do lives every Sunday before kickoff on TikTok. You get in there, you can ask us all your start-sit questions, trade questions. We take that in the DMs or on the Patreon. You get much more access on the Patreon to us. But please support. Do all you can to keep us doing this because right now we're just doing it for the love and we need your support to keep on doing it. Any parting words from you guys going into playoffs before I sign off?
Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, good luck. I'm going to need it. I'm sure we're going to need it. So we love you. Peace.
See you.